Hello, everyone. We're going to have a discussion about doing research, planning for your research in the midst of AI innovation. So, how do you use AI in an ethical way to plan your research? What we have to do as researchers is that we always have to explore the existing capabilities of AI and think about how can you use it in a way that is going to be ethical. Now we have a lot of AI innovations, and I think you have to think about how can you use AI ethically to conduct your research. So at the planning stage, you have to think about your topic. So in this presentation or in this discussion, I'm going to talk more about incorporating some AI capabilities in helping you to plan your research, right? In terms of planning your research, there are areas that you have to think about when you are planning your research. I think they're very important. One is the topic. What is your topic that you want to address? And what is the practical problem, the problem that is currently happening? Who is affected by the problem? And what is currently being done to address the problem? What is the gap in the literature? What is lacking in the literature that you want to do research to fill? What about existing literature? What has been done? How are the information connected to what you are studying? What about the theoretical framework? Is there any theory that can help you to connect your study to existing body of knowledge? Right. What about the purpose of this? What exactly you want to find out in your study, and also the questions that you want to address. So, in these areas, in terms of planning, how can you use AI to help you to do adequate planning of your study? Let's start with the topic. As you all know, your topic should be relevant, right? Not only relevant, but you also have enough interest and make sure that this topic is manageable, right? You don't want to take a huge topic that is very difficult based on the time and resources that you have. So it's very important to think about, can I conduct a study based on the limited time and resources that I have? And you have to make sure that it's really broad enough to have sufficient literature to back your study. And I think we're going to talk about this more. So let's say you have an idea about your topic and you're trying to refine it. Can you use any AI to help you to solidify your topic? Yes, you can use Perplexity AI. So let's go and try Perplexity AI and see what we're going to get. So let me go to Perplexity AI. It's a tool that helps you to search for information, right? And this one is so useful because when you ask the system a question, it will respond and will provide you information that are useful, that are supporting the response, right? So what we're going to do is that I'm going to use this example concerning my topic. So I'm going to ask Perplexity, what is new about the use of AI in academic field? So it's important to know what is new about your topic so that you choose an area that will be useful and also will be more impactful, right? So you click on enter, and this is what you may get, right? So it give you the explanation about what is new and also give you the sources that you can also click on and read more about it. It looks like AI is being used in an area of personalized learning, right? So adaptive learning, where AI can tailor the content to meet the student's specific need based on the feedback the AI receive. And then automation and virtual assistant like chatbots also helping students to learn. Also, we have generative content creating, we have advanced analytics who help you to, analyze your data or something like that. And we have AI in research, helps researchers to conduct research in an effective way, right? So there's also a shifting roles and new challenges. And this is where you may have to focus on and see whether there's any place where you will be interested and then explore further. We have ethics and academic integrity, and we have inclusion and accessibility, we have institutional response. So looking through this, I think this one is very important to me, ethic and academic integrity. So I want to explore more about that. So my topic will be the use of AI in an ethical way within academic field, right? So that will be my area, right? So you see that based on this, you'll be able to get an idea about where exactly you want to focus on, right? So you see, I started with a broad topic about the use of AI, but I think I can say the ethical use of AI in academic field. I think that is the way that I want to focus on, right? So now let me go back here. I have my topic. I'm using the free version of Perplexity. If you want to triangulate in terms of how the system provide response, you can ask the same question with ChatGPT and then see, because we are focusing on what is new, you want the system to search the web, right? So you want to go to ChatGPT, you click on web search, and then you can paste this question and then see what the system will provide you. Right. So now we have answers, right? So I think this one is so interesting because now you can ask the system about your topic, and the system can go through the database and identify relevant literature and even go further and synthesize and provide you the result and provide you even the gap, right? So you see how AI can be helpful in academic field. So this one give you some perspective. What this means for your practice. So explicit AI use rules. Okay. Leverage agentic research assistant. Okay. So, and also assessment redesign. Okay. So I think that I have some ideas here, but I think I still interested in the role of ethics in the use of AI in academic field. I think that might be very interesting area that I want to focus on. Right. Now I have my topic, ethical use of AI in academic field. Right. And then the next one is the practical problem. We're thinking about the practical problem is any kind of issue or challenge that is related to the topic that you want to focus on and also that may be happening or has already happened. So when you're thinking about a practical problem, the question that you have to ask yourself is, why does this problem matter? Who is affected? What has been done about the problem? What is the consequence of unresolved problem, right? Asking this question will help you to really pinpoint the exact problem that you want to address in your study. Maybe for this one, the problem that I think is happening in terms of ethical use is that many researchers, professors, students are not sure about the ethical way of using the new technology. So they are not sure how to use the new AI innovations that are coming, right? How they can use it in a way that is acceptable by the research community. And I think that is the concern that they are having. So this is just an idea that I have about a problem, but if I want to really get to understand a problem very well, with evidence from the literature or evidence to support the problem, then I have to use AI, right? So this is what we're gonna do. We can try Perplexity first, right? So let's see what we're going to get here. So I'm trying to copy these things to Ask System. So let's go to Perplexity. So Perplexity, I click here to start a new conversation. So I put the questions that I want to ask. I'm going back and copy the topic. So I'm going to give a prompt. I'm interested in this study, this research topic, and then I stated the topic, right? Can you help me come up with a practical problem related to this topic? Also, consider addressing the following questions. And then the first question is, why does this problem matter? Who is affected? What happens if it remains unsolved, right? So these are the questions I want the system to address, and I click on enter. We talk about academic integrity also going to affect the learning process itself, and also it's going to lead to proliferation of AI generated content. And then who is affected? Students, researchers, educational institution, educators too. The consequence, decline in quality and reliability of academic work. Okay, so I have very good information that will help me to construct the problem. These are information that you need, right? So, and you'll have all this information. Let's try Claude AI and ask the same question and see what we're going to get. So the Claude AI is quite similar to ChatGPT. So and this time we can also try research, right? Click on research and see whether we can get something more depth, right? Okay, so yeah, talking about the AI tools have become more sophisticated and also accessible to students. And then for them to use for the assignment and all these things and the grammar check, most institutions lack clear, comprehensive policies about AI use, create confusion for students, and also inconsistent enforcement by faculty, right? And that's a really important aspect why this problem matters. Okay, so this one provides why it matters and then who is affected, student, faculty, institution, and future employers, society. And the consequence, if not addressed, we see the systemic erosion of educational quality. Student might graduate with credentials that don't reflect their actual academic, leading to a broad devaluation of academic degree. I think this is very important because when you over rely on AI tools, you also lose the necessary skill that you need to do, right? You need a necessary skill of writing or necessary of completing a specific task because you have shifted that kind of job to AI, right? So I think this is very good information that can also help you to construct the problem. You have all the elements to construct a practical problem, right? Whenever you want to make your problem a little bit convincing, you can ask the system, especially on the perplexity, because to give you some sort of information. So you see the difference here. This one, if you don't tell the system to search the web, I think there's no web information here to support the information that is presenting. But when you look at Perplexity, it's providing you some web information that will be helpful in making your case. So one thing that you can also do is can also easily click on the articles, various articles, and see and review to get more information as you are working on the problem statement. I think this is really helpful. Hope this one is helpful to you. So now we have been able to come up with a specific problem. What is the problem? Students mainly are using AI tools, but most of them are not sure about how to ethically use, and faculty members are also not all that sure about how to police students so that they can use their tools in an ethical way. And also, there's also confusion about the policies by the institution. So these are the things that you can also incorporate and then write about, right? Now let's move on to the next topic under the planning. We finished with the research topic, we finished with the problem statement or the practical problem. Now we're going to talk about research gap, right? So think about a gap as something that is lacking in the literature, right? So the practical problem is a general kind of problem that is happening related to your topic. Now, what does the literature say about your topic, right? What needs to be done? And then based on that, you'll be able to come up with the purpose of the study and also the questions that you want to address, right? So we have many types of gaps, right? So if you want to know more, if you can go to, there's an article by my colleague about research gaps. So you can easily get it from ResearchGate and download it, right? So it gives you about 9 or 10 type of research gaps, right? I think there's about one, two, three, four, five, six, seven types, right? We have the knowledge gap, evidence gap, population gap, methodology gap, and all these. So you can read and see the kind of gap that you may identify, right? So, how do you use AI tools to help you to identify a gap, right? So, one thing that you could do is to go back to Perplexity and we can say, can you help me identify a research gap based on my topic? And then you can copy and paste your topic there, right? It's good to continue the conversation because the system already has given you specific practical problem, right? So it's good to continue the conversation instead of starting a new one. So click on enter and let's see what you're going to get. This seems to be knowledge gap, right? And it might not be, maybe the first one, effectiveness of ethical frameworks and policies. I think that it's still presenting the practical problem, right? Research problem is about what the literature is telling us and what is lacking in the literature. So I'll skip this one and go to, this is where this one may not be helpful. I'll move and go to ChatGPT, right? I think ChatGPT will give us very good information. So one thing that you have to do is that here you click on the plus sign, right? And go to deep research. Deep research is helpful if you want the system to take a time to look for resources online and also synthesize them to address your question that you have. The system will come up with questions for you to answer before it starts the research, right? You can try agentic mode one, too, but you have to make sure that you give the system enough information before you click on enter because the system may not come back to ask you further questions. It will be based on assumptions. And if you don't give clear information about what exactly you need it to do, it will make decision on your behalf, right? Assuming that that's what you want. So you can choose each any of them, but let's try the deep research, right? And then we can put that information here. Can you help me identify a gap in the research? Right. Here you have to be more specific. Review only academic research articles to help identify potential gaps. Right. And sometimes to really also help the system to know what you're talking about, you can attach the article that lists all the gaps. So I'm going to attach, let me download it first, and I'm going to, let me save it here. So I'm going back and then I'm going to attach. So I will say also, before you look for potential gaps, can you first review the attached article about research gaps. So here, what I'm saying is that first, I asked in the system, can you help me identify research gaps based on your on my topic? And then I provided a topic, and I said, can you review all the academic research articles to help identify potential gaps? Also, before you look for potential gaps, can you first review the attached article, that article about potential gap? So hopefully the system has enough information to go ahead and do the research, right? It will take some time, it may come and ask me. So it's asking me some questions and I have to respond to those questions. So I'm going to first copy these questions and put them here and try to address them. Okay, so now I've answered all the system questions before it starts its research. So let's click on enter. So you see how it's going to be easy for you to do research. In the traditional way without AI, you have to search through the literature and find out articles that are related to your topic and see whether you can identify gaps. This one, within few minutes, you'll be able to get an idea about potential gaps and you choose about you make your selection and then read more about it. It's also going to provide you a lot of resources that articles that you can read and learn more. Remember that the system can make mistakes, so don't over depend on the information it's presenting to you. Always make sure that you review and sometimes ask the system further questions so that you are clear or feel comfortable using the information that the system has provided to you. Apart from deep research, you can also use, I think there's a one, agent mode. It's similar to deep research, but this one, as I said, it gives the system the chance to go through websites and also make decisions on your behalf, right? So you can use both and see what you're going to get and compare and contrast, right? So let's wait and see what we're going to get. It looks like the deep research is done now, right? So as you can see here, it took 6 minutes for it to go through 18 sources and it did 60 searches, right? So this is really a comprehensive information. So it has identified about 7 gaps. Interesting. It has identified about 7 gaps. So you just have to go through and choose one of them. You don't have to choose all the gaps for your study, right? You can choose only one. You can focus on maybe evident gaps. You can focus on methodology gap, right? You can focus on empirical gap, right? So you have to choose one, and then that the one that you think you can focus on and do research to address your research question that you have, right? So also make sure that the gap is really consistent with the practical problem. So if we identify the practical problem as the institutions are not really providing the needed support to how students can use new innovations or researchers can use or faculty members can use AI innovations to help them to do their research. They are not really clear about that, and it's also causing confusion. Then you have to choose an area that is quite related to the practical problem, right? So make sure that there's a consistency between your topic, your practical problem, and also the research problem, right? So when you go down here, it has all the resources here in terms of the articles. You can click on them and read more about them, right? So that is the best way of identifying a gap. This is so easy. So your role here is to review all of them and choose one gap or 2 gaps that if they are consistent, and then use it and to do your research, right? So looking at this, should I choose one of them? I'm just going to focus here. In practice, universities and individuals are adapting to AI tools for faster than ethical guidelines. Yes. This is what I really want to focus on, right? So the AI innovation is going so fast, and then academic guidelines cannot pace or is difficult for the for institution to keep up with the increased innovation of the tools. And this is where the confusion comes in. So I think focusing on this one will be helpful for me. So I'm going to tell the system that this is what I want to focus on. So I'm going to say this is the gap I plan to focus on. Let's see what the system come up with. So another thing that you have to think about is that you may decide to use GPT-5 thinking. I intentionally use that for the system to think through step by step to provide you reliable information. So it looks like it has provided me detailed information about the gap, right? All these are there for you to review and decide how to write your research copy. Now you have all the information you need, especially the statistics, and also providing the source of that information, and then giving you some different kinds of gaps under the main gap, right? So you can still go further down the line to choose the specific gap under the main gap that you have selected, right? So all these are ideas that you can explore and decide. You don't have to choose all of them, right? Decide what you want to do. And I think this one is the summary of the gap for you to really see whether it makes sense to you, and then you can adapt what you have to adapt, right? So when you are done, then you move to the next one. After you have explored the gap, the next one is to conduct literature review. So literature review is all about searching for relevant literature based on your topic. You read about it critically, read and analyze and understand what each of the articles are saying and try to organize them based on a specific theme or in a way that makes sense. And then you can synthesize and then write about them. Right. Your role here is not to just copy and paste that information. That's wrong. It's not ethical to copy and paste the information that AI has given you. Your role here is to get an idea about how you can conduct your literature review. What are the topics that you can write about? What are the potential literature? What is the best practice in terms of synthesizing? Getting all this information will make your writing very easy. So that's why you can use AI to help you. So you can go back to ChatGPT. This one, you can put it to auto so that the system will decide whether it want to use thinking or not. We can go ahead and do the agent mode for the system to go and provide you a list of all the literature related to your topic, right? And after that, we can ask the system to summarize or ask the system to synthesize so that you can have an idea about how to write about it. Or you can ask the system to give you an outline about your literature review based on the literature it has identified. So what you can do is that you can, let me see whether we can have, let me go up here. If you are continuing the conversation here, it knows your topic, it has an idea about your gap. So it will take all these information into consideration when looking for literature. So you can say that, can you extract all relevant literature related to my topic? Suggest topic needs to write about when working on my literature review. So it will take a while for the system to go and give you a list of all literature. It may not be the whole literature, because it's searching if the maybe the literature is not accessible in the internet, you will not be able to get that information. You may get some maybe the reference list, but not the article, clickable article that you can download, right? And there is another thing is that you have to be very careful if you tell the system to do a literature review because it may not have access to some of the full articles. It may have access to maybe an abstract of the article, but not a full one. So asking the system to do a literature review, the result might not be comprehensive, right? You can do that, but don't over depend on the output. Try as much as possible to also do your own search and get all the articles that are relevant for your study. So within 3 minutes, it has finished working on it. So it has compiled all the literature So let's look at what it has done. So we have the topics based on themes and also the source and the findings, right? So you can see all these source and the findings and the link to the article, right? So these are the topics that you may have to address in the literature. Yes. So, sometimes to get a very good information, sometimes you have to really tell the system the gap, the specific gap that you are focusing on, and that will help the system to provide you relevant information that will be helpful. Right. So the next one is theoretical framework. So what is theoretical framework? I can see that it's just like a bridge. It connects your study to existing body of knowledge. It's also, you can see it as a foundation. It's a way to build your study, right? So you choose a framework that has something to do with your topic, right? It provides a lens for interpreting findings. Has also helped to explain the relationship between variables and also justify your methodological choice. So that's why you have to have a theoretical or conceptual framework. So you have to identify a specific theory or concept or model that best explain or link to your topic. So, if you are not sure about a specific theory that you have to use or a model that you have to use to work on your conceptual theoretical framework, it's very important to try and use an AI tool, right? So let's try ChatGPT. What I have here is a brief information about the problem that we want to focus on and also the gap that we have identified. So what we're going to do is that we're going to give ChatGPT all these information and then ask it to suggest theory or concept or model for your study, right? So you can click on new chat. So what I'm saying that based on my study provided below, can you suggest a theory, model, or an existing framework that will be used to inform my study? And let's see what the system will suggest. So the system has suggested about 5 theories and made us some recommendations. So what you have to do is to review each of the theory and see which one best connect to your study, right? So what I always do is that look at a topic that you want to focus on, look at a problem that you want to address, look at a gap that you have identified, which of the theory best explain your topic or the problem or the gap that you have identified. Right. And sometimes you may have to choose more than one. Some of the time, the theory that you have identified may explain an aspect of your study. You can also choose a second theory or a model to complement the existing one. So you can choose more than one model. And even the system is suggesting that you have to use a hybrid approach using institutional theory and complemented by responsible research and innovation or academic integrity framework, right? So these are all suggestions. You can choose to only focus on one, but I think the system is suggesting, and you can ask further, why are you suggesting that? And then the system can provide you some information. So in ChatGPT, you can also create your custom GPT, right? You create a sub model under ChatGPT so that you can use it to accomplish a specific goal. I want to use GPT that I have created under ChatGPT to see whether I can get also similar information about the framework. Right, so I've copied the prompt and go to GPTs, and then I can search for my GPT. Let me search for my name, and then it will pull up all the GPTs I've created. So these are the GPTs I've created. Let me see the one that I want to use. One that talks about, yeah, it's Theory Navigator. So this one can be used to help you to suggest a theory. So you click on that and click on start charts, and I paste the prompt here, and let's see what the system will give us. So So it looks like it has provided you some theories similar to the ones that was suggested earlier. You just have to review and decide which one is the best, right? So that's how you do it. So you can either use the general GPT or you can go to GPT and then search for my name and look for a theory of navigation, and then you can use the one that I've created under ChatGPT to help you to decide the right theory for your theoretical framework. Right. So then let's go to the last two issues. The last two issues are the purpose of the study and the research question. So the purpose of the study is all about what you want to find out in your study, right? Purpose means that what you want to investigate. You want to just explore a phenomenon, or it can be explanatory. You want to find out a relationship between some concept or why a phenomenon occurred. It can be descriptive. You just want to focus on certain pattern and characteristics, right? And it could be transformative. You want to try to improve existing conditions, especially if you are doing action research. So, for the purpose of the study, we can also ask AI to help us to decide the purpose of the study, right? So, let's go to ChatGPT and see whether we can get some information. Start a new conversation. We're going to make sure that you choose GPT Auto. You put what your study is about, and then we can say, suggest me the purpose of the study and research questions, right? Let's see. Okay, so this is the purpose of the study. The purpose of this study is to examine how higher education institutions can ethically implement artificial intelligence tools in a way that minimize academic dishonesty and strengthen trust in learning processes. This study aimed to generate practical guidance that institutions can adapt to align policy with practice. So it has given us the purpose of the study, first given us the general purpose and also become more specific about trying to bridge the gap between the existing ethical AI framework and also the practical realities. And lastly, given what it will focus on and also the aim, what the study intend to ultimately accomplish. So we have the primary research question. How can higher education institutions implement ethical framework for AI use that effectively balance innovation with academic integrity? And then you look at the three sub-research questions, right? And it looks like for the first sub-research question, it has two questions there. I feel like the questions are a lot. You can decide which one you want to focus on. Maybe I'll focus on the first one and then choose three sub-research questions, right? So one from this and then another one and another one from here. You don't want to focus on a lot, right? And make sure that the questions are consistent with the purpose of the study, right? I think focusing on the first one is good, right? And I think that sub-research questions will focus on these three things: exploring the perception, the challenge that will be the second one, and also the strategies for responsible AI integration. I think that will be good, right? So what are the strategies? What are the challenges? And then how do they perceive the use integration of AI into academic work, right? So just explore, you can explore and just choose the one that you think is possible for you to conduct the research, right? And you can even go further and ask about who you want to collect data from, how many participants, or what kind of research approach. If you want to learn more about research methods and how to choose the right method for your dissertation or research, this book will be very helpful for you. You can get access to it when you go to Amazon or you go to our publisher website. If you search for the title of this book, you'll be able to get access to it. It's going to be very helpful because we provided practical steps of how to conduct your study when you are doing your dissertation, from working on chapter 1 to working on chapter 5. You learn a lot. We make things very practical for you, right? And also, I provide methodology consultation. So if you want us to meet one-on-one for a consultation, you can easily contact me and I'll be happy to meet you and have a discussion. My email is info@drphilipedu.com, info@drphilipedu.com. And also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll be providing you a lot of videos that will be helpful for you to do your research. And also, thank you so much for your time.